I'd like to clear things up with regards to the art direction and front cover of The New Yorker, especially the art by Adrian Tomine. Now, the latest issue of The New Yorker on December the 7th, 2020, has been making rounds on the internet. And sadly, I still use Facebook. And on Facebook, I have to deal with left book idiots and right wing nut jobs, but always, you see someone in that far right corner or some kind of reactionary quarter calling the December 7th, 2020 Tumene cover as some kind of world Kalergi plan plot to destroy us under post capitalism, which is all a legitimate claim that it's true that our elite want us to basically be a brown woman with tight cut shorts on stuck on their smartphone drinking wine, having a cat shit in the corner of the room with a bunch of COVID hand sanitizer stuff on the floor only to go outside, a bunch of boxes you bought from Amazon, books on books, you don't clean the kitchen, you're in your small little apartment in New York City you're paying $1,300 a month for, and your bed is over there, and meanwhile you're on Tinder getting pizza delivery boys to fuck your brains out every other night. And this picture clearly represents that kind of horror, except the part that it's not brown women doing this, it's mostly white women. But I love the good faith that somehow it's a brown woman that does all this, and she's white. She's white like us, and we should treat her that way. Well, I would like to bring up another New Yorker cover that made rounds in the far right kooky internet sphere. And that was all the way back in January 2nd of 2017 when I graduated college. And on this cover, there is a black guy and his Japanese girlfriend on the Brooklyn Bridge, and they're doing love locks, which is something really Japanese. But there's a fine. You can't do the love locks because it's $100, and they take them down. And this is just some kind of silly, postmodern, eclectic messaging that love locks are universal. You know, it's not just some kind of only in Japan. And it represents that kind of American cultural colonialism that you could just take the colonial art from somewhere and then implant it in New York. And it's the same as if you were to go to Japan. But I think the message right here is that the girlfriend is Japanese and his black boyfriend is doing it out of respect. But the sad part of this is that a black male, Japanese female, is literally a four-leaf clover, if not the pinnacle of queer culture, especially if that said black man acts Japanese or is acting like a white guy, especially in the interest of love locks. I'm pretty sure scholarships are $80,000 scholarships to School of Visual Arts in NYU are behind him already for being such a queer man. But the January 2nd, 2017 Tumine artwork also made rounds on the internet. I clearly remembered saying how degenerate or not based in reality it is, and how, and this was right before Unite the Right the same year. There was still this kind of post-Trump philosophy happening. And so what I love about the January 2nd, 2017 art is that this issue alone turned me into an Asianarian, or turned me into the AXA subculture alone. This picture itself showed me that there is a good life, and that this good life has been pretty much hidden. So this art piece by Tumine only encouraged me that romance and love, the platonic relationship, does exist in this clown hellish world. He may be, saying it's, a black male, Japanese female. It's quite possible, but it's not really. It's just not based in reality. But the romance is there. The platonic is still there, and this is what maybe turned me to such a radical ideology alone. And I just want to bring up that Tumine was always doing this in the 90s, especially with his Optic Nerve mini comics, which you can still get as reissues in his 32 Stories collection. But issue 5 is my favorite. It basically outlines this kind of white male, Asian female punk subculture that Tomine already solved in the 90s and is willing to basically spread it through. It was not apparent then. It was not apparent then, but it was coming out. And I think it got lost in translation in the last 20 years to mean some brown multiculturalism hellhole or something. But more on Tomine. I dated a very famous cartoonist. I won't say her name unless anybody DMs me about it. She dated Tomine, and Tomine wouldn't shut up about his new car, and she got mad at him. I'm not so sure if she had sex with him or anything like that, but Tomine, he would be AXA by definition. He would be this Eurasianist fighting for a Eurasian subculture by definition. It's just now, for the last decade or so, his job just includes writing, or not writing, but doing cartoon front covers for the New Yorker, which is like a very elite 1% job, which you can get lots and lots of money from. And my ex right now, she doesn't get any money. She's just trying to take care of a family, and so that's the weird part, how it's small world thinking. And so Tomine isn't this kind of fat cat global elitist. In fact, he actually had a book called Scenes from an Impending Marriage, which he talks about him getting married. And this is totally Eurasianist by design. And my ex was really pissed off about this book for obvious reasons, but I would say Tomine is on the side of AXA. And going back to this new New Yorker issue, yes, it does paint a picture of this kind of clown hell world of stay-at-home, post-capitalist, and there's a lot of offense you can see because of how true it is and how our elites want it to be this way. And the fakery, too, of how, we think brown women act like white women. And this is just like some boomerism, some fat cat elite George Soros boomer fantasy about the black woman. And it's the funny part is that we think it's some kind, the far right thinks it's some kind of evil, articulate plan, when really it's just some Eurasianist AXA writer, cartoonist, doing the cover to fat cat boomer elites, and his ideology is very far off from what our fat cat neoliberal global capitalist elites want. And I think the internet sphere tends to forget that. It says it's some kind of clergy plan when in all actuality he's kind of just doing his work. And because we know it's an illusion, we know it's a matrix, and we only get paid for working with the fat cats. But I can only make the solution is that Tomine is a transgressive artist for pissing off people to selling what our clown world wants, but ironically, our boomer, delusional, Eurocentric elites, loves to kill itself and watch these fantasies of brown people cucking over them. This is this kind of, and Tomine does a great job of painting that. For all I know, Tomine could be is a transgressive artist by default, and his transgression is showing by making politically correct works of art through this. But we have to stay on track. We have to remember that AXA will overcome this illusion and become the middle class truth in all the arts post 2020.